as far as drilling completions and production, and we really need to incentivize changing the way that we plug these wells in the future and start leading the way in how we plug and abandon and retire these assets. And, it can be done. There's new material out there. There's new technology. There's a lot of young people that, have some fantastic ideas of how to approach this. And we need to bring them into the fold and start listening to them a little bit because, like I said, there's people out there with digital technology that I can't even pronounce. And we got to start using these young people and using their minds and helping us old guys start to address this problem, working together.
Are there people that I don't know, that you're kind of like looking to for, or maybe people, companies, discussion groups that maybe you've kind of gravitated towards of being like, hey, they got some good ideas? Or is this still where, there's not really defined direction yet? Or are there groups that are talking about this maybe more at length? And obviously, you're going through the paces of bringing it to everyone's attention too, but are there other places that we could kind of learn maybe all sides of this discussion?
Yeah, there has been a good deal of work done in various aspects of technology for plugging these poor things.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of recent improvements in cementing, for example, both cement types and placement of the cement. And that is valuable technology. And so we're constantly keeping our eyes open for new products, new procedures, people who can actually plug wells. There are a number of folks out there that believe that they can plug wells, and they simply follow the old standards, the old way of doing things, and they're trying to use the excuse that they're using tried and true technology. Well, it's been tried, but it certainly isn't very true, and otherwise the wells wouldn't be leaking. That is one of the issues that we have with many of the regulatory agencies. They simply haven't kept up with new technology, and as a result, an operator, for example, that's trying to plug a well, will submit a permit, and it uses the same old tired technology that's been used and failed in the past. And the Railroad Commission or the OCC or the NMOCC or whatever the regulatory agency is simply rubber stamps it and says, yeah, go ahead and do it. That sounds fine to us, without really digging into the fact that this well was properly plugged using the state of the art at the time, the materials at the time, the regulations at the time, and now it's leaking. Well, obviously, the old tried and true technology didn't work.
Now, I'm being a bit facetious here and kind of making a joke, but we all know that the cement companies have a lab, and in the lab there's a mad scientist, and I picture him in a white jacket and with horn rim glasses, and he and he's always designing something, and there's lightning and sparks and everything else, and he's always coming up with something better, and they do, and they keep them locked up in the laboratory, and we have an opportunity to be able to try some of these new techniques and start using them. I've got a landowner out here with over 200 orphan wells on his place, and there's not a better laboratory to start trying new cement and new things like polymers and epoxies and have a 200 plus orphan well laboratory. It's not like we're ever going to bring these wells back. There's everything imaginable in these wells, where there's holes in casing, there's fish, there's all kind of things that the industry is going to face all the time, and there's not a better place to have a laboratory and start trying to use some of these new techniques and materials and get some stuff proven up and start doing a better job. I've said it before. I've had basically a cadaver farm of wells that were plugged from the late '60s all the way up to 2023, and we've proven that the current material that we're using right now is not a long-term solution for asset retirement, and we really need to start looking forward and start getting with these little mad scientists and say, okay, what do you got for me, and let's try it and see how it goes. If it doesn't work and it fails, we'll just drill it out and we'll try something else. And that's the only way. This is the oil field. We've tried, it failed, and tried and failed. Oh, this works, and let's try and see if it works again. Oh, it works 2 or 3 times. Okay, great. We got something new. And that's kind of the way we need to approach P&A.
Yeah, and
So,